Good Thursday evening. Thank you for joining us here on the Weather Junkies. We are joining you live with a special episode on this Thursday night. It is a episode that is dedicated to student reaction of the recently completed or completing or finishing, I should say, AMS conference out in Seattle, Washington. And our guest on the show this evening is Noah Bergren. He is actually joining us from the somewhat noisy hotel lobby in Seattle, so quite a distance between you and I.
Indeed, Tyler. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I've been busy at work the last couple days, but I've seen some tweets come across from AMS with the hashtag AMS 2017, and I will kind of want to get a sense for what you thought of the conference. We can start out with some tweets of the week and then talk more about some of the talks that you went to see. And I will say for those listeners out there, we do not have a co-host this night because Dakota is on a plane leaving AMS 2017, probably to go back to Colorado. So this is a solo episode, at least host-wise, with just me and our guest, Noah. So we have a couple tweets we're going to go through, and then we'll get more into your experience, Noah, at the conference. The first tweet, I should say Noah picked a lot of these tweets. The first one comes from Nathan Domingo, and it's actually a photo of probably an AccuWeather talk, and the slide on the screen says, "Evolving role, continue to strengthen communication skills, personalized by audience, platform, and location, embrace new technology and emerging platforms," and a few bullet points. One of them says, "Weather intersecting with health, smart homes, and connected cars." So Noah, why did you choose this tweet?
So I really liked this one, as this type of message kept coming up a lot in more of the policy and town hall type discussions that were going on at AMS. And they were really relating how, with the continued advancement of social media and new forms of communicating the weather and scientific information to the public, how with this new and great advanced way of communicating, we have to have new and great ways of providing and getting across our message through these channels of social media, and also with the new technology, it's new products, such as there's many more things that require weather information. Now that we have smart homes, we have smart devices that are all tapping into the global network of weather information. So it's kind of a two-sided stone here with the increased technology that is giving us more ways to get our message across, and there's also more things that are using the new methods of information we're getting across. So lots of new ways that we're getting the weather information to the public.
I'm glad you picked this tweet. AccuWeather has always struck me as a company that is in these little niche segments, very cool but very niche areas, and I think they do a very nice job of it, and so it's kind of cool to see them talk about it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I use something called IFTTT, which is a website that allows you to automatically post things, and they have a partnership now with Weather Underground where you can turn on your lights. You can use a trigger, a weather trigger, and the temperature goes below a certain number, turn up the heat. I mean, it's crazy what you can do now with all of this weather information.
Yeah, one of the things that I attended a similar presentation about this. What, for example, was with new smart thermostats in your home. The thermostats are actually connecting to a server or a location that is providing weather information that actually you can set them so if the temperature goes below a certain amount at certain times of the day, the air conditioner or heat in your house will kick in or lower based upon the ambient weather in your backyard, so you don't even have to. And they'll use algorithms to really get a good sense for how much and when your home should be heated or cooled. And really, you don't have to do hardly anything now in terms of that front, which is really, really interesting.
It is crazy. The second tweet that you chose is one by Becky Elliott. She is part of the podcast series Whether Ready or Not. She tweeted a quote from Patrick Marsh. I believe we've had him on the show before. The quote is, "When we get into business of telling people what to do, we don't empower them to think. Work to educate to do right thing." That's an interesting quote because my first thought, my first reaction to that is, well, don't we always tell people what to do? Like in the situation of a tornado warning, whether we're on TV or we're the person writing a tornado warning, aren't we always telling people what to do?
Indeed, yeah. So this is kind of an interesting little statement here because obviously with severe weather, we're telling people how to protect themselves and their family. Yet it can kind of be maybe sometimes it can be limiting that we're, especially when opinion gets into the way, that we're not teaching people how to do the right thing in certain types of events.
Did he say what some benefits are of not telling people what to do?
Not I didn't pick up on anything much with that. Although I can infer based upon some quotes that I heard in discussion ongoing that a lot of people, especially down south and in the Midwest, with this new growing, I don't want to call it a movement, but whenever there's severe weather, say a tornado warning, for instance, and it comes up on the television as a banner or a split screen when they're watching their favorite TV show or sporting event, people get completely mad and fed up with the local meteorologists that they're warning everyone in the state about a tornado warning that's 75 miles away from their home and has no impact on them. So maybe that is some of the connection that he's referring to.
Yeah. The third tweet is a bit of a thread also from Becky Elliott, and it says, quote from Demuth, "Twitter has allowed research into how people dynamically assess and respond to severe weather." Also, he went on to say, collected Twitter data, all tweets and derivatives that mentioned hashtag Sandy during the storm. 16 million tweets.
Wow.
Can you add anything to this, Noah?
This again goes back to the first tweet that we had about the evolving role of meteorologists in our field. As next year's theme they announced is going to be centered around communication, just goes to show, I think, about how you have over 15 million individual unique tweets about one weather event that is in such a relatively small area of the country. You say it's just a handful of states, that we really need to be putting out good quality information from the start. One, in our normal channels, but also on social media. I mean, 16 million times, it was mentioned on Twitter. I just think that goes to show the new role that meteorologists are taking on. Because I don't think 16 million people are going to be watching our video forecasts on the news.
No,
You know what I mean?
no, I don't think a lot of people watch videos on news station websites.
Exactly. I think it all ties into the message of the evolving role with new technology and new ways to communicate data.
Another tweet here from an anonymous source. It's kind of cut off, but it's a quote of our co-host. And Dakota says, "The forecast we send out is not always the forecast people receive." We see that all the time. It's a challenge that we always face, but bridging on what you said, it's a more difficult task now to kind of get over that because receiving weather messages is more fragmented than ever. So, and then our final tweet, also from Becky Elliott, says, early warning is like taking your car to the mechanic and having them say, I couldn't fix your brakes, so I made your louder.
There's an interesting quote.
I couldn't fix your brakes, so I made your horn louder. How do you interpret that?
Are we masking the problem? This one got a lot of retweets and favorites and comments on it. As clearly, it stirred up quite the various forms of interpretation.
Like maybe a tornado warning, early warning being like 30 or 40 minutes. Is that what it's referring to?
I could see that. Yep.
I'll have to think about that a little bit more.
Comments on the tweet at us or the WX Junkies. What you think? Thanks. Also to Tyler. Let's quite see what everybody thinks of what that quote means and what it relates to.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to send that out. I'll do that now. But so you're a student at Penn State. Is this your first AMS conference?
Yes, this is my very first American Meteorological Society meeting that I was very fortunate to be able to attend.
And what is your reaction? When did you fly out? You're leaving tonight. What's your reaction to the conference as a whole? And talk a little bit about your experience.
So we flew out Saturday morning. We left State College, Pennsylvania at 2 o'clock in the morning to drive to Newark, New Jersey. And from there we flew to Chicago and Seattle, spent Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and most of today at the conference. And then we are leaving tonight at 11:30 Pacific time, so we have quite the wonderful flight of red-eye to take back to the East Coast. So we're in for a long night. But besides that, the conference was really, especially for a first-timer, I thought I had a good idea of what I was getting into and what I was going to, but really I had no idea the enormity of everything that this involves. It really is both a humbling and eye-opening experience, especially to see how extensive the horizontal and vertical parts of the field are in their own right. I mean, just the amount of research that's going on at the forefront of the field, the ways that people use information for even broadcasters, me being an aspiring broadcaster myself. And just the biggest thing for me was just getting to talk with new people from across the country and the world. I talked with a few meteorologists from China that were doing lots of research on climate change and global warming. I mean, it's things like that, going to see other people, that really was the best part for me that I enjoyed.
Talk about some of the talks that stand out to you. Obviously, it's too many. There are too many to attend all of them, but what are some of the ones that stood out to you?
So maybe I'm slightly biased in this regard, but the talks that I enjoyed the most were from the student conference, which was Saturday and Sunday before the main conference started on Monday. And within the student conference, we had a few discussions about how the public perceives weather alerts, for example, and we had a poll of what color do you think associates with warning or an alert. And most people said red or purple. And actually, we had psychologists that came and said that gray is the most effective color that people associate some kind of uncertainty with. Sorry, excuse me, not alert. We had a panel discussion about what color best describes uncertainty, and an overwhelming majority of the students said red or purple. Yet a psychologist came to the discussion and presented their findings and said that most people actually perceive the color gray when they associate that with uncertainty. So I thought that was very interesting.
People said that red or purple meant uncertainty?
Yeah.
To me, I would think red and purple means bad, like it's going to happen.
And let me pull up. I saved a tweet or two from this particular talk. Got to read up about it a little bit from the student conference.
I think
Also
Gray.
from the student conference on interview advice. This not just goes for students, but for the general public. Um, Dr. Makarov, Iteris Incorporated, said if somebody ever asks you for your strengths or weaknesses in an interview, to say, "Do you really want to know what I'm bad at?" I thought that was nice.
Did Dakota speak at
But
the student conference?
Dakota, I'm not sure that he gave his own uh, presentation for himself. I think he was with a few other grad students from Colorado that he was with.
Did you go to any talks about radar scope?
So I didn't go to any about radar scope, although I did talk with the people from WDT, Weather Decision Technologies, at the exhibition fair about what's coming down the pike, and really it's pretty cool, the future of radar scope.
What did they say?
But so they're looking to expand. They're doing so much, looking to expand it both on the broadcasting side and with new data, the new type of Doppler radar technology that's coming out, expanding it to more regions across the world. Because radar scope now is accessible on a plethora of devices, from an Apple Watch to a Mac. So they have really a diverse array of outlets for their information.
Was there any talk about 3D views or similar to GR level 2 or no?
I did not hear anything about that. It's possible they probably could have spoke about it, but unfortunately I missed that.
I know they released an update to their software corresponding with the AMS conference. I think they didn't do that last year, but the one thing that I think about Radar Scope is that it's a great app, but I'm not sure where they go from here, because it has a ton of the features that so many people requested for years. They've really been receptive to adding features, and now the big question is, how do you keep pushing forward on a mobile platform? I would love something 3D like GR, but I know that's hard to do on a phone. So that's interesting. What other talks did you attend?
So I saw a lot of talks on lightning, particularly from the Penn State alum Matthew Brothers, about charge deposition and lightning research, which was really interesting. But a lot of the themes, it seemed to be the overhanging theme of this one, was data and observations. One of my personal favorites was about a talk from Colorado State, that research study that was done relating mesoscale rotation to heavy rainfall totals. And what the basis of the study found was that more rain fell from cells and areas that had some form of mesoscale or mid-level rotation in them versus ones that did not. And the study took into account a whole bunch of thunderstorms and cells from across the country over the span of a summer, I believe it was. And the total and mean for storms that had rotation in it was higher than ones that didn't, and actually by a fair margin.
Would you attend another AMS conference in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I'm all ready to book my flights for next year in Austin, Texas. That's how much I loved it. And I only got the tip of the iceberg with this year's conference. There was really so much more that I wanted to do, whether it be presenting a poster or spending more time in the exhibition fair, and even just going to more talks. I mean, I only went to a fraction of the talks that I could have. Just so overwhelming being a first timer. And there's just so much you can learn from, especially for a student such as myself, just being able to be with
It appears that we lost Noah. Perhaps he'll rejoin here in the next minute. I know he was in a hotel lobby there in Seattle with a lot of noise. It sounded like a playground, but I would assume that the Wi-Fi connection there is not the best. I think a lot of us have experienced that, connecting to public Wi-Fi signals. So let's hope he rejoins here. It could be the Wi-Fi, it could be the battery. There he is. I predicted that he'd be back within a minute, and it indeed looks like he's back. Noah,
Hello.
you're back. Can you hear me? So it looks like he's back, but does not have an audio feed. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? It looks like Google is playing yet another game on us. Just got a text message here. Can you hear anything, Noah? I don't believe he can hear anything. So, we're going to have to wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week. Dakota and I will be back on Thursday with another brand new episode of the Weather Junkies and a more thorough reaction to AMS from Dakota himself. Dakota, no longer an undergraduate student, but a graduate student in Colorado. So it'll be good to get his reaction to the conference.
Tyler, are you there?
And anything else that he saw while he was in Seattle. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back here next week.